Welcome back, junkies, and welcome to Cycle Jam 2025 with WERA. This is going to be our C Superbike race, and this is my first time ever racing at Road Atlanta. This was the first race of the weekend, so we're going to see how this goes. One of the things I'm going to try to do here is talk about 5 of the top mistakes that I make through going through this race, so that when you go to Road Atlanta, you hopefully don't have to make these same mistakes. Novice WERA grids are decided by points within the season, so I get decent grid position here, but as you can see, and like always, I have a terrible start here. So this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think that's 7 bikes that get past me just going into turn 1. So that's going to be a tough one to swallow, but you know, we got to work with what you got. So we've got bike 222 over here, and he tries to sneak on past me, but I'm going to hold him back. But it's payback here because 212 is in front of me. I believe this is Brantley Fowler, if I look this up correctly. And he holds me off going into the S's here. I was thinking about a move there, but he slams that door shut. Not trying to ruin this too early in the race. But we're going to try to hang on to the back of him and go into the back straight and see if we can catch a draft, because that's going to be one of the things as riding an older bike, especially kind of more of a super stock class bike. That back straight's going to be rough in a super bike setting. We're going to try to see who we can piggyback on the back over here. And so going on to this back straight, we do get a little bit of a help here. Although I sort of like split the difference between these two riders here, so like hopefully I get a little bit of a draft, but I really probably just get the worst of both worlds and don't pick anything. And then I pull out here going on the left side down here into turn 10, and I had some confidence going to the break. I still need more, but we'll work on it throughout the race. But I do have a little bit better feel on the brakes, so I was going to try to make up some time there. You can see me catching someone here coming into the last one. So let's start breaking down where this all goes wrong. So I'm going to start with problem 1 here, and this is going into turn 1. There's a couple things I do wrong here. One is I start braking a little bit too early, but probably worst of all is that I actually hesitate on tipping in. And tipping in matters a lot, especially in like a sweeping turn like this, because if you tip in too early, you're going to get pushed out wide. If you tip in too late, that's equally going to be bad. And so that just kills my drive going up the hill there. For now, this is Caleb Kephart, or not Caleb Kephart, Caleb Gennard here. And he seems to have a similar pace to me, a little bit faster in some places, and I can catch him in others. So in other words, this is probably someone I can learn from. And this is Caleb Kephart here that just comes back up on me, just getting beaten up by Caleb's over here. They must have something against me. So then what we're going to try to do is, again, see if we can get a little bit of a draft here going onto the back, and we do get a decent draft out of Caleb here, and his bike's not too much faster where I can actually stay with him. You can see Caleb Gennard's way up there, totally gone. I'm gonna try to pass him again on these brakes going into 10, and gonna make that stick. And then we're gonna, you can see here I'm in gear 3. I really should have been in 2, and I try to fix this in subsequent races, but this also brings me to mistake number 2. That is the last corner at Road Atlanta leads onto a front straight. It's a fairly tricky downhill braking section that dumps into kind of this flat, slightly raised bank section. So any mistakes that you make there get amplified, especially going onto a straight. So it's usually going to be better to give yourself a little extra time to brake more accurately, and then make sure you can hit your apex and drive out of that corner well. Noah blows by me because I had really poor drive after missing that apex and running wide. He's already caught up to Caleb up there, and I need to find a way to just like make up some time somewhere. And I try to make it up in braking zones. He gets by Caleb into the last corner before the straight, but Caleb's bike is a monster. You'll see that up here. He gets past him just here in a second, but Caleb's going to take that right back on that back straight. So once again, either way, they're both in front of me. I'm left trying to make up time, and I'm trying to do it on the brakes. And honestly, this isn't like a great place to try to make up too much time, because the faster you get, the less margin you have on your braking, and that's going to mean that you're kind of essentially trying to maximize risk for a reduction in reward. So this brings us up here to the final corner, kind of going back onto the straight, and we'll see I kind of catch them up a little bit on the brakes here, and then if you look closely, I mean, I blow that apex, but if you look closely here at Noah's bike, there goes a chain. So that sucks for Noah. Thankfully, he was okay and the bike was okay. It actually just like cleanly came off, which I know if you guys know how chains break, that can be like a really bad thing to happen. So I'm glad everything turned out well for him. And I get a position back. So sucks for Noah, but I'll take it. Lord knows I needed the help this weekend. So this brings us to mistake number 3. That's going to be up here at the top of the hill, is rushing into turn 5. I don't know if you can see a theme here. This is a lot to do with braking here. But this lap especially, you can see me try to make up some time in braking later in for turn 5 and carrying a bit more corner speed, and it causes me to rush that corner. And that also means I'm going to get on the gas so late here. You saw how much Caleb took chunks of time out of me coming out of that corner, because I just overslowed and I'm late getting on the brakes. And like, even if you catch up to him a little bit, that's another little small back straight section, and so that's going to maximize the damage done there. And look who's back here. This was, if you remember him from the first lap, he comes back. I try to hold him off again on the brakes. And that does end up sticking, which is good. Again, I'm in gear 3 here, and I really should be in gear 2 and then kind of short shift a little bit and then back down. I figured that out later. That one I did a little bit better there. I kept a little bit more time. So let's talk about kind of mistake number 4 here, coming up here as we get into, as I go to enter the S's up here. I short shift into third, but then I just kind of sit in neutral throttle. So as I turn over here, you'll see I short shift into third up here, and then all this dead time, right? I'm just kind of like sitting there waiting for the bike to catch up, and that's just like time. That's literally just time that you're sitting there not doing anything. So you either need to like be getting on the gas or braking later or doing something so that it's minimizing all that kind of neutral throttle zone, where I lose a lot there. But I actually am learning each lap I go around here. So you'll see there in turn 5, I actually did better about not rushing it so much, and I was able to get much better drive, and look how much closer I am to Caleb. Caleb's taking off on me once again on the straight, but like even before then I was much closer, and that's gonna inevitably help me as I try to keep chasing him down here. So again, try to catch up as much as I can on the brakes here, and then we're finally in gear 2, so that actually helps a lot too. I get out of 10B a lot quicker. I actually leave it there in second, and it just makes it a little bit simpler here. And then again, I didn't rush that one quite as much, and I was able to make up a little bit of time, or at least not lose quite as much to Caleb. So let's talk about the last mistake here before we kind of finish up the race here, and that's turn 2 at the top of the hill right here. And again, this one's an area where I'm coasting. It's another spot that's tempting to have dead zone in your inputs. I'm not on the throttle and I'm not on the brakes. I'm just sort of coasting there. Some of it's like Caleb's in front of me, and I don't know really want to like gun it in front of them. You just got to go. And so, again, more coasting. That's terrible. You got to know the track, know where your markers are, and you got to commit to your inputs. And you see how much Caleb gains on me from doing that. Thankfully, I'm carrying a little bit more corner speed through 5 again, and now's my chance. I had to make that stick into turn 6, and that's important because I know he's going to have the speed going onto this back straight, so I need to get as much distance as I can and also disrupt his exit out of 7. And I manage reasonable drive out of 7 onto the straight, which is important. And at this point, I just got to kind of like bring it home and pray he doesn't come back on the straight, then try to hold him off hard on the brakes, enough to not get past in the 10. You can see I'm floating a little bit on the left side here to make it harder to make that inside pass. And once again, I just try to learn something this lap and finally get a bit better drive out of the last corner. It's not the greatest drive, but it's incrementally better. And that's kind of what matters as we're getting better each time. So there's the checkered flag. I finished 11th in novice, but I learned a ton this race and enjoyed the battles I got to have. I got a lot of knowledge that I got to put to use throughout the race and throughout the weekend, and I dropped several more seconds off my time throughout the weekend and ended up continuing to finish better and better. But I wanted to take the time on kind of my bad races to point out what I'm doing bad, how you guys can hopefully improve as well.